Trigger warning. This episode contains heavy transphobic language and brief racist language. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the Non-Binary Show. I'm Sam and I'm bisexual.
I'm Mika and I'm non-binary.
We started this podcast as a way of getting to know each other more before getting married.
Now it's just a place where we talk about queer shit, sometimes lighthearted, sometimes more serious stuff.
But whatever we talk about, we hope that by listening to us, you don't feel so alone.
Today,
does Netflix deserve our money?
I don't think so anymore. So for those who don't know when shit hit the fan.
A lot of shit hit the fan.
Oh yeah.
And it's all one person's shit.
Yeah, so one person on Netflix, and Netflix doesn't do anything about it, and we're gonna go through some points and notes we made. Sam forced herself to watch a lot of it, and she did that on YouTube instead of Netflix, so Netflix wouldn't think that someone's interested.
And it still came up in my recommended.
Yeah, like you were furious the other day.
So it came up in my recommended on our smart TV, not on the Netflix app. So the thumbnail for this was right next to sex education. And if you've seen sex education, you know that it is inclusive as fuck.
Yeah.
To put something like this right next to something like that is offensive.
It is.
So we are, of course, talking about The Closer by Dave Chappelle. If you are not a fan of Dave Chappelle, don't worry, us neither. He's a stand-up comedian and he has done 6 stand-up specials released on Netflix. And this is the last one. It's called The Closer. And for a good 25 minutes, at least, he is insanely transphobic. He is really dragging himself. He's essentially cancelling himself. If you buy into cancel culture, he has cancelled himself. His last 2 shows as well, another 2 of these specials, also include anti-trans and homophobic comments. And he calls this comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, so we forced ourselves to watch you were watching it on YouTube the other day. I was editing the news podcast.
Yeah.
And I took my headphones to listen to what he's saying as well. The thing is, people were laughing at every time he finishes the sentence, people like cheering and laughing. And I was just thinking, it feels very fake.
Yeah.
I didn't find him funny. I'm the person who understands very, very dark joke, and sometimes I understand stand-up comedians. What I don't like is when people laugh just because that person said a joke.
Yeah.
Like someone's worshipping someone and then they say hi and they laugh, and it just felt like the laughters are forced.
Well, I have a theory. Maybe some of the people in the audience, maybe they're getting paid because it's for Netflix. And they're just a butt in a seat.
And that's the thing, crowds, when some people are cheering.
It really points out that they are transphobic as well, because they're laughing at it. Yeah. I'm not sure how much of that laughing was genuine or nervous, like uncomfortable laughter. You know when you're in an awkward situation and you can't help but.
Plus, there is a factor when you go to a show like this. You kind of prepared and in that mood to be laughing and like to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So sitting on the sofa at home, you might not find it that funny.
Because you're not there. You're not in that atmosphere.
Yeah, you're not there. And then you just think, wait, that wasn't funny. And to me, that was just pure transphobia. That wasn't funny at all, especially when we go through these points. There's one point that is just how I couldn't understand how people laugh at it. How they could laugh at it. It's just terrible. And before we start going through all the points, this is gonna be a very hard episode to record and probably to listen.
It will be.
So if you are sensitive, and those trigger warnings in the beginning, they are true. It's really heavy transphobia. If you're sensitive, please don't listen to us anymore.
Yeah, it's not about numbers of listens and plays. We don't care about that. If you are sensitive to this, you don't owe us anything.
You don't have to listen.
You're not obligated to listen. Before we start on the things that he actually says, Dave Chappelle is making a lot of money from these specials. Apparently he makes at least $20 million from each special. He's making $20 million for being a transphobe. I don't know where to begin.
Yeah, so the thing he said as well, like about cancel culture and stuff. Stop canceling my people. Yeah, well, at some point he said that. Stop canceling my people. And it's like, no one's canceling them. And like, we not just gang up on someone nice and just cancel them. If someone would come up there and repeat N-word, like a white guy would come up there and say N-word, and racist joke, it wouldn't be canceling. It would be just like, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But when someone goes up there and talks shit about trans people, that's okay. He himself put it like next to it. We're gonna talk as well later.
Yeah. First he starts talking about the fact that as a community we cancelled, to quote him, we cancelled J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
The fact that he ends up saying he had to Google what the word TERF meant, and he says it in the special. It's an acronym. It stands for this.
Trans exclusionary radical feminist. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to Dave Chappelle, trans people make up words to win arguments. This is just point number 1, people. We have a fuckload today.
Yeah, so I'll try to be as quick as possible to comment on these as well.
Yeah.
So that just says that because words are coming up, because there's so many identities and stuff, and words are coming up, and yeah, we do come up with them, like everything else. If we would not come up with any words ever, we would just be stuck with such a limited language that even quote-unquote normal people would struggle to express themselves. So we come up with words to make everyone's life easier. Yeah, you have to learn what they mean, but it's just how life works. Now the development of the world is so quick that we come up with like a lot of stuff in 10 years instead of hundreds of years. But that's because the world is going so fast.
Yeah.
And that's normal, and it's just, you have to be really stupid to not understand that.
I'm sure everyone was thinking the same about Shakespeare 500 years ago, because didn't he invent like 1,000 new words, something like that?
Exactly.
And then it was like, oh, this fucking Shakespeare guy coming up with words like wretched and skein snaith and things like that.
I know, yeah. Words we don't use anymore.
Exactly. Because language is evolving.
Yeah,
we get rid of
evolving.
pointless words that we don't use anymore, and we bring in new ones that mean more to us.
Yeah.
Because society changes.
Yeah. And for good.
For good. Yes, absolutely. Next one, and I feel really horrible saying this. They don't hate transgender women, but they look at trans women the way we blacks might look at blackface. They're just doing an impression of me. First of all, this is someone's identity. That is not the same as impersonating a whole race of people.
So race and gender identity is so different. You can't change. When you have a race, like to me, race doesn't mean anything. I mean, like when all the different races would be in the same room, I wouldn't notice them as different races. I would treat everyone the same. And like the race is just, you should be proud to be black as much as you proud to be white. Should be proud to be Asian as much as you proud to be black.
Yeah.
Like everyone is valid, doesn't matter of their race, and everyone has the same equal right. It's just the people that make themselves more entitled for something. Yeah. I'm talking about white people who are racist. They feel like they're entitled because some piece of crap years ago made black people
inferior.
Yeah. But that is not the same as having a gender identity, because like no one would ever want to be different race, because it doesn't change how you feel about yourself, if that makes sense.
It's not like you wake up with racial dysphoria. Like I've heard about people of colour wanting to bleach their skin to look white.
That is a quite different point. That dysphoria came from being treated differently.
Yeah.
So it's like if we would want to be straight, to be accepted.
Yeah. Then he actually says, I'm team TERF.
Nothing to add to this. It's just, that's the thing now. Turns out there is something to add to this.
Oh.
The thing now. You come up on the stage, a lot of people watching you, then Netflix takes your show and puts it on their platform. Millions of people can see you, and you say, I'm a racist.
Yeah.
And everyone cheers. And Netflix says, no, nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's just jokes.
It's a joke. It's just his opinion.
He's a comedian.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable in any way. If you go there and say, I'm a Nazi, it's not acceptable, and it wouldn't be on Netflix, and you would be, quote-unquote, cancelled. Trans people are as important as any other person. Okay, move on.
Yeah. So after he declares himself Team TERF, he repeatedly says for the rest of the show, gender is a fact. Gender is a fact, but not the way that you're saying it is.
So, yes, gender is a fact. I don't know what that means, to be honest. It's a bit stupid sentence. Because, I don't know, keyboard is a fact, is it? A fact should be
you
a
just
bit...
saw a keyboard.
Like, I would think a fact is at least 2 words, because you have to claim something to make it a fact, isn't it? Like, you can't just say, wardrobe is a fact, or my clothes is a fact. It's not a fact.
It exists.
My clothes clean, that's a fact.
Yeah,
And
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's... English is not my first language, but I understand that it's not a sentence. So, yeah, move on.
You have to look at it from a woman's perspective. Now, I'm going to play stupid here, but he clearly means a cis woman's perspective. Is that right?
Yes. So as a... I know you gender flux non-binary woman, but you still...
I still like the words woman, lady, Mrs.
Yeah. And as a non-binary gender flux woman, like still as a woman, been assigned at birth as female. Like you don't have a dysphoria, you don't feel uncomfortable when people call you woman. And like you still like it.
Yeah.
And when you see a trans woman in the same room, how do you feel?
I feel okay.
Yeah. Do you feel threatened?
No.
Do you feel like trans women are threatening your existence?
Absolutely not.
What's the problem then? I don't know. Maybe we should ask more women.
Then he talks about Caitlyn Jenner. This is where he starts bringing even more racism into it, actually.
Yeah, so he says Caitlyn Jenner was awarded Woman of the Year within a year of her transition. Like, I don't know what criteria is for getting awarded for a Woman of the Year. I don't like her, and I don't think she should be awarded any day because she slams trans people herself.
Yeah.
And like she's the one that is confused. She's that one trans person who is quite confused. Because saying like, if you would say, I'm a woman, but I hate women. Like, women don't deserve to vote. And you being yourself a woman.
Yeah.
She does the same thing. Trans people don't deserve healthcare. And she's trans woman herself.
That's just because she's got the money.
Yeah, exactly. But like, how can you ditch on people that are like you and just like, you just invalidate yourself? I think it's mental illness at this point. It's just like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
When you are kidnapped and then you just can't leave. Same here. Like she transitioned, but then she forgot that she's transphobic.
Yeah.
Like I feel sorry that she can't love herself properly.
Oh, she loves herself. She just doesn't love other people. That's it.
It's still not the same. It looks like she loves herself, but if you don't agree with trans, like what trans is, and that they deserve same rights as everyone else, you still hate yourself.
Oh, she's also against same-sex marriage as well. Chappelle's excuse for why he didn't like Caitlyn Jenner being named Woman of the Year was that she never had a period.
Only a man can say that woman's definition is someone who has a period. There are women out there who don't have their periods ever.
And there are men out there that do.
And let's not go into intersex people.
Yeah. Because that will just confuse Dave Chappelle, won't it?
Yeah. Because, like, intersex people are forced to be the gender the doctors told and the parents decided.
Yeah.
It's just, it's another topic for another day. But it's just very stupid argument to say.
Yeah. He then tries to compare this, and this is why I didn't like getting onto this part of the show. He then tries to compare this to the idea of Eminem being named N-word of the year.
And crowd goes wild at this point. Cheering and laughing
they
and
did.
Wow, so funny.
They did.
Eminem never wanted and never would be a black person.
Yeah.
He never said he wanted to be. Just, again, it's so narrow-minded that certain activities have to belong to certain gender or race. Like, the stereotypes. He is a black man and he should fight for the stereotypes to just be written off. Because you don't want to be a walking stereotype and you don't want people to tell you the rules of how you should live.
Yeah.
And then he comes up there and says this. Like, just because Eminem is a rapper, like, he never said he wants to be a black guy. And it's just, again, stupid argument.
I understand, I can't believe I'm saying this now. I understand where he's coming from with the Eminem thing, because 25 years ago, hip-hop in the charts was still very taboo. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody really wanted to admit that they liked rap music or hip-hop. Then Eminem comes along, does the exact same thing that black people were doing for the last 15, 20 years in rap and hip-hop, and suddenly he's winning all the Grammys, he's winning all the VMA awards, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the thing, that's a different problem. That's just racism and...
that has nothing to do
with trans people.
With gender identity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't compare race and gender.
Yeah.
It's just because someone does something. Like that's the thing. If a guy like Harry Styles, he never said that he feels like any gender, right?
Yeah.
Like he never said I'm gender fluid or I'm non-binary. He never said that.
But he's always pushing those boundaries, those gender norms.
Exactly. He never said he's gay or something, right?
No.
He just dresses up. And just because he dresses up like that, you're not gonna say, that's it, he's a non-binary of the year.
Yeah.
Because he never declared himself. He never said, I identify as non-binary or I identify as a gender flux or gender fluid. But trans people, they actually go through so much to be accepted and to live their authentic life. And then being slammed like that is just so transphobic. It's just the same as coming to a trans person and saying, no. You just sit at home. No one cares about you. It's just...
I think that there's parts of this next part that I don't want to say because this is the worst part for me.
So this is like a quote of his from the show.
Yeah. This is without him taking a break as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's laughter in between, but this is coherent.
Okay. Every human being in this room, every human being on Earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on Earth. That is a fact. I'm stopping here. No, it's not.
Because we've just said there are also men that have vaginas and clitorises and...
There has been a few already, probably thousands, hopefully, men who already gave birth. And even in the show The L Word, a man was pregnant, and they did that back then already.
Yeah.
And that just shows that this man just lives in his box and he's not really educating himself at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a fact. Debunked already. And now I'm gonna continue what he said. Yeah. Now I am not saying that to say trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those pussies that they got. You know what I mean. I'm not saying it's not a pussy, but it's beyond pussy or impossible pussy. And then again, why do we go into someone's pants?
Yeah, why do you need to know what's going on down there?
Why do we need to get people naked and examine their genitalia?
Yeah, why do we need to reduce a person down to their genitalia, to put a label on them?
Exactly. We are people. We have really big capacity brain. We can understand things that we couldn't understand thousands of years ago. We are so evolved, so smart. And here we go. We still go back to times when women were sold for marriage and stuff.
Yeah.
For a goat. It's the same thing.
I know.
Just because they had vaginas back then. If you have a vagina, you don't have rights. It's the same thing. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm not gonna read the end of it, but basically it just comes back to the period argument, which is not true.
It's a horrible thing. So, then he tries to justify all this by talking for 15 minutes about his apparent friendship with a trans comedian, Daphne Dorman, who in 2019, unfortunately, she committed suicide.
And this was the moment when I couldn't believe that people could laugh at this.
Yeah.
This was the, like, other ones. Okay, transphobic. Yeah, I get that you're transphobic. But this one was just heartless. If this wasn't there, I could understand Netflix not taking it out because they don't understand what transphobia is. But this is making fun of someone who killed themselves. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that some of the reason that she killed herself was because she was trans and made fun of. So he claims that she loved his jokes.
That she saw the humour in the transphobic jokes.
Yeah. Again, there are LGBT people who are okay with slurs. And they say that it makes them feel validated, even the slur. And there are people who can't take the slur. Like someone who is told F word, they would be like, yeah, and like take it jokingly. I don't have a problem with the word queer, but some people still feel offended by it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Just because if I would have a gay man friend and he would be okay with being called F word, doesn't mean I can go around and call everyone F word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't just, like between friends, when you go around and call each other bitches, you don't go outside to the shop and call the shopkeeper a bitch. You know?
Yeah.
You know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And this sentence I'm gonna read right now, I know, sliced my heart. And it was really, like, I couldn't believe he actually said it. he said, oh, so you need to explain how she did kill herself.
Well, I can't believe he even went into detail about this.
So he went into detail about this. She jumped off a building.
She went to the roof of a building and jumped off.
Yeah. Which is really brave, and I can't imagine what you have to go through to actually do that.
I know. I'm getting through it. Keep going.
So he said, only a man would do some gangster shit like that. Daphne would have loved this joke. That's why she was my friend. Making fun of a person who killed themselves is the lowest of the lowest. And Netflix funds this piece of shit. And he said more after. He was talking about her for a long time. And he said, she was dressed up to the nines. I'm transphobic. And I was like, you look nice. Again, he admits he's transphobic. And Netflix
he actually says the word.
And Netflix says it's okay. It's humor. I'll tell her daughter one day, I knew your father and he was a wonderful woman. Misgendering and using the wrong pronouns. And that's fine. And the audience loving it. Laughing at a person who killed themselves. Good job, Netflix.
The whole reason he's talking about her in this way is to try and justify his comments from before. To say, I didn't mean any of that. These are just jokes. I had a trans friend, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when someone says, I'm not homophobic. I have gay friends. I'm not racist. I have one black friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is all... He's just digging himself into a bigger hole. And he is scum. You used a different word for him.
The bad word.
It's the word that I don't even like saying most of the time.
People say, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. So, this whole time, the audience is cheering. They're lapping it up. They're applauding him. It is still on Netflix. And it's been about 2 weeks now.
And Netflix admitted that they're not going to take it down because it's comedy.
Yeah. 2 days later, 2 days after this was put up on Netflix, Jacqueline Moore, a trans writer who's known for working on Dear White People with Netflix, she tweets that she has quit her job at Netflix. I will not work with them as long as they continue to put out and profit from blatantly and dangerously transphobic content.
Yeah, and she goes through a lot of points we did go through.
Yeah,
to say that, as well.
To say that he tried to justify his way out and compare it to racism. She basically said everything we just said.
Yeah.
And then she says, well, Netflix, I'm done. She's gone. Yeah. The next day, the CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, makes things worse by talking about it. So he's dug himself into a big hole now as well. Several of you have asked where we draw the line on hate. We don't allow titles on Netflix that are designed to incite hate or violence, and we don't believe The Closer crosses that line. Where is your line then? Tell us.
Openly saying that you are transphobic, which means you hate trans people, is not hate?
I don't know where the fuck he thinks he lives. Well, it's probably like $1 million mansion, that's why.
Netflix openly admits that they don't know what transphobic means. This guy twice said openly that he's transphobic.
Yeah.
And that's not a hate thing.
And then about a week later, the LGBT Netflix account, Most, put out this shitty non-apology. Yeah?
Sorry, we haven't been posting. This week fucking sucks. To be clear, as the queer and trans people who run this account, you can imagine that the last couple of weeks have been hard. We can't always control what goes on screen. What we can control is what we create here and the point of view we bring to internal conversations. We have been reading all of your comments and using them to continue advocating for bigger and better queer representation. Okay, you can go back to yelling at us now. Oh, you're just overreacting. I don't believe that this was written by any trans person.
No trans person would back this shit up. No trans person would wave away all this backlash and say, you can go back to yelling at us now. That's as if to say, you can yell at us, you can give us a load of abuse in the comments about what's happened. We're not going to listen. We're not going to respond. Do what you like to us. We're done too.
Yeah, there's a comment next to this Instagram thread by Hunter Reespina. What is Netflix doing about it? Someone told me I couldn't be upset until I gave Dave a chance and watched it. 23 minutes in, my blood was boiling. I don't feel a need to watch more. I am disappointed and hurt. Ted has already spoken, but I want to know if this is the last we've heard of this. Today, Texas took down the team LGBT suicide hotline resources from their website. Since Dave's special has aired, the amount of homophobic and transphobic arguments I've seen in support of him have been insane. The comment sections are even worse. this happened because of Netflix, so I think everyone on this page is done yelling and would like to know what Netflix is going to do about the real-world impact of a special they're promoting. Cute videos and a sassy Instagram page is not going to cut it anymore. And that just sums up what we all think.
Yeah.
As someone who watched a lot of that show, we can confirm that you can't look at it in any other way.
The last point is that next Wednesday, the 20th of October, trans Netflix staff members intend to stage a walkout, but we're not sure if that will happen anymore because the person that was organising the walkout yesterday was fired from Netflix.
I would think that if I would be working for Netflix, even if I wouldn't be trans, I would look for a different job at this point. If you even slightly support trans people, I think at least, that's the question of today's episode, really. Is it worth to give your money to Netflix when they stand for this? This person openly stated that he's a transphobic, and then we continue paying them, and we are cancelling because Netflix is not doing anything about it. And to sack someone who's trying to prove a point, that's a discrimination. I'll say this: cancel Netflix, find another stream service, and if they do something about it, you can always subscribe again, you can always come back to it. But if they stay like this, pretending that it's all a joke, they can laugh without money.
I think we've decided then.
Yeah, we are cancelling our Netflix subscription.
We're done too. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Non-Binary Show.
If you would like to be mentioned in a future episode, please send us your thoughts on today's topic to one of our socials.
Our Instagram is at non.by.neri.
Our Facebook at non.by.neri.show.
You can also email us at non.by.neri.pod@gmail.com.
Or send us a voice message at anchor.fm/nonbinary. That's all one word, no dots.
See you next time, and remember, you are valid.